Live from Anusabata Desa Wakanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond this evening here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Ghana remembers 8 national heroes in last year's helicopter crash as President Mahama admonishes all to be guided by the fragility of life. This evening, we bring you live excerpts from the official event. Meanwhile, the largest opposition party, the NPP, earlier today hit the streets of Accra to protest what they say is mounting attack on Ghana's democracy by the governing National Democratic Congress, NDC.
With great respect to you and without prejudice to your presence, to nominate only you to come amount to disrespecting us as a political party. The history of this country tells us one thing, that no political party stays in power forever.
As Alexander Apanyo marking there, stay with us. We've got details for you and some reactions. Finally, the West African Examinations Council fires back in a simmering standoff with operators of private basic schools. I'll tell you a lot more into here. Hot edition on 3FM 92.7. But for now, let's cross over to the unveiling of the cenotaph in memory of the late Defense Minister Dr. Edward Omane Boamah. The acting Defense Minister, Dr. Kasiela Toforsing, is addressing the gathering right now.
Champion professionalism, discipline, and accountability, whilst advancing reforms that strengthened the operational readiness of the Ghana Armed Forces. He remained a passionate advocate for our veterans and promoted stronger collaboration between military and the civilian institutions, all in pursuit of national security. Distinguished guests, as we honor his remarkable legacy today, the Ministry of Defense has published a special commemorative edition of the Defender magazine dedicated to preserving and celebrating the life, service, and enduring legacy of the late Edward Kofi Omane Boamah. This publication is more than a historical record. It is a chronicle of his remarkable tenure as the Minister for Defense, highlighting the reforms, initiatives, and leadership that strengthened the Ghana Armed Forces. The Ministry of Defense believes that this magazine will serve as a valuable resource for future generations of military leadership, public servants, researchers, and Ghanaians who seek to understand the standards of leadership and public service that defined Dr. Edward Omane Boamah's life. As we unveil this ceremonial, this memorial, and launch this publication, let us also renew our commitment to the principles that Dr. Omane Boamah faithfully upheld: integrity, humility, professionalism, accountability, and service above self. His greatest memorial will not be this cenotaph alone, but our collective resolve to build stronger institutions, place the national interest above all else, and continue the work of building the Ghana he so faithfully Kofi Omanebuama continue to guide us in our service to the Republic. May his soul rest in perfect peace. May Almighty God bless Ghana Armed Forces, and may God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you.
It's all live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. This is a live coverage of the unveiling of the cenotaph in memory of late Defense Minister Dr. Edward Omane Boama there, and this ceremony is underway at the Ministry of Defense, and you're still live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, and we're keeping an eye on how things are playing out at the Ministry of Defense with the unveiling of the cenotaph in memory of the late Defense Minister. But while at it, some 8 minutes after 5, we're live as well on 3FM 927 on Facebook and on YouTube. You can keep your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions coming through. Read out to you and to the rest of the world. Still on this, President John Dramani Mahama has called on Ghanaians, particularly leaders, to honor the memory of the 8 departed heroes who lost their lives in a helicopter crash exactly a year ago by strengthening institutions, improving safety standards, and placing national service above self-interest. Speaking at a memorial service marking the 1-year anniversary of the tragedy, President Mahama said the occasion was not only one of the remembrance but also an opportunity for national reflection. The 8 victims died on August 6, 2025 after a Ghana Armed Forces Z9 helicopter crashed in the Adanse Akrofom district of the Ashanti region while traveling from Accra to the region. The crash claimed the lives of Defense Minister Dr. Edward Kofi Omaneboama, Minister for Environment, Science, Technology, Innovation Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, Acting Deputy National Security Coordinator Alhaji Muniru Mohammed, former Ashanti Regional Minister Dr. Samuel Sapong, and former NDC parliamentary candidate Samuel Abuaji. 3 Ghana Armed Forces personnel who were part of the helicopter crew, squadron leader Peter Bafemi Anala, flying officer Chum Ampedu, and Sergeant Ernest Adomensa also lost their lives. Here's President John Dramani Mahama earlier today on his tribute.
The unveiling of the cenotaph in memory.
Professions. They had different dreams, different personalities, and different stories. And yet they were united by one common purpose. They answered the call to serve God and country. None of them boarded that helicopter expecting that it would be their final journey.
The Minister for him.
Like countless public servants every day, they set out to perform their duties. They left behind unfinished conversations, appointments they expected to keep, families they expected to return to, and dreams they believed they still had time to fulfill. That is perhaps the greatest lesson this anniversary teaches us, that life is fragile, that service is sacred, and tomorrow can never be guaranteed. As president, I've often reflected on the enormous sacrifices made by men and women who dedicate to public service. Much of their work goes unnoticed. They travel long distances. They spend countless hours away from their families. They endure difficult conditions. They make decisions under pressure. They accept risks because they believe that Ghana's progress is worth every effort they put in. And too often, we celebrate such service only after tragedy strikes. Today, we must resolve to appreciate public service even as it is performed daily, to appreciate those who labor faithfully, often without recognition, because they believe in something that is greater than themselves. To the bereaved families, permit me once again to convey the deepest condolences to the government and people of Ghana. I know that no speech can erase your pain. No anniversaries can fill that empty seat at your dining table. And no ceremonies can replace the voices that you long to hear or the embraces that you still miss.
As the President, John Dramani Mahama, there recalling the fond memories of the late 8 Ghanaians that we lost exactly a year ago in that helicopter crash. Now, it's been 1 year. Ibrahim Abubakar, a colleague in the Ashanti region, returned to the crash site and been recalling the moments. But while at it, as Ghanaians remember the 8 gallant men who died in the August 6 helicopter crash, questions remain about the mission they were traveling to undertake the fight against illegal mining. 1 year on, Wisdom Safo assesses whether their death became the turning point against galamsey that the nation was promised, or whether the crisis remains an entrenched one, as we have also heard some civil society organizations raise concerns about. And Darryl Boss is going to be joining us shortly, but this is what Wisdom Safo has put together.
8 men left Accra for Boise on August 6, 2025. They were traveling to support the launch of a program intended to provide a responsible alternative to illegal mining. They never arrived. After the tragic crash and the grief that followed, former Kumbungu MP Ras Mubarak said their deaths should not be in vain. He argued the tragedy should strengthen Ghana's resolve to bring finality to galamsey.
The most exciting tribute to their memory would be that come next year, when we are marking the anniversary of their passing, we wouldn't have issues of galamsey in our country. That is what I would want to hear. That would be a befitting tribute, to the memory of Honorable Mutala, Omane Buama, Limuna, Dr. Sapon, and the rest of them who tragically perished yesterday.
Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa went further. Following a mini cabinet meeting, he announced that President Mahama would personally lead what he described as a ruthless and relentless war against galamsey, one Ghana had never witnessed before.
I can confirm to you that you are going to see a fight that has never been witnessed in this country. President Mahama is going to lead a very ruthless and relentless campaign against galamsey. He has not minced words at all. We had a brief cabinet meeting earlier today, and the president was very clear. There was no ambiguity that he will be leading a war that we have never seen to deal with this counter, this existential threat, once and for all.
1 year later, the hard evidence points to an uncomfortable conclusion. The government has intensified the fight, but galamsey has not been defeated. Between January and June 2026 alone, the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, conducted 200 operations across 53 districts in 6 regions.
94 excavators so far seized, secured in our location. Almost 3,000 chamfans destroyed. Those ones, I don't count them. Arrest, we have 237. Majority of them are foreigners.
These are significant enforcement figures, but they also reveal the scale of the problem. A country does not conduct 200 operations across 53 districts within 6 months when illegal mining is under control. The government has identified 21 galamsey hotspots that require regular operations. In the president's own words, temporary deployment had produced results but were insufficient to prevent illegal miners from returning.
Mr. Speaker, NIMOS will maintain regular coordinated operations across all 21 identified hotspots to prevent re-entry of illegal miners into these reserves. While temporary deployments yielded positive results, they proved insufficient for sustained enforcement.
That is an important admission. The miners are not only being removed, they are returning. Government has also deployed 1,634 blue water guards across 10 regions to protect rivers and forest reserves. But the continued deployment of more than 1,600 guards is itself evidence that the threat remains widespread. There have also been prosecutions. President Mahama reported that more than 114 galamsey case dockets involving hundreds of accused persons were pending before courts across the country. Special prosecutorial teams.
That's a recall of the reason and the cause of the death of these 8 gallant Ghanaians that we are remembering a year on, and whether their death has, as was expected to be, the turning point against the fight that's in the fight against galamsey, that's illegal mining in the country. Well, Daryl Bosu is the Deputy National Director of Arocha, Ghana. He, together with his organization and other like-minded persons, have visited a number of galamsey sites across the country, and what a day to ask him what the verdict is 1 year on. Daryl, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening to you, Alfred. I believe you are great.
I am doing well. Thank you for asking. Now, when this incident happened exactly a year ago, one of the expectations of at least a number of people, including the likes of Ras Mubarak, whom I just played his voice, was that the death of these 8 gallant Ghanaians we are remembering today would serve as a turning point in the fight against galamsey. From what you have seen 1 year on, visiting all of these areas where galamsey is taking place, what would be your verdict?
Alfred, I must first of all say that, we, together with my organization, together with the coalition against galamsey, had a lot of hope. We know how hard and really committed we've been in terms of working and engaging with government, the previous government, and even now to ensure that we rid Ghana of this menace of galamsey, which is actually leaving almost every other sector in Ghana and really struggling and under siege. Our water sector, food security, health, everything is struggling. Even our energy sector, because of the impact of galamsey in areas where some of our hydropower dams are built. We are seeing the impact of galamsey. So we were actually excited that at the time, 6 August, exactly a year today, we were even at Obuasi when government was planning to commission the Responsible Cooperative Initiative, for which we were also expecting these 8 people who died tragically in the helicopter crash were going to attend. So I think that we really come to a realization of how important last year was, exactly today was, and looking at how far we've come after all the, I would say, the mourning that we've all been through, the tears that have been shared by both family and relatives, and even the state with responsible and honorable persons like the late Honorable Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, and also the defense minister together with the other 7. We are all very saddened that we had to go through these painful moments in relation to dealing with illegal and irresponsible mining in this country. But I think after all the tears, after all the compassionate commiserations and all of that, the question that we still are grappling with is the fact that the morning came, the tributes were said and all of that, but we have failed to honor them because if you still go across the country, I think that the issues are the same, if not worse, and I am afraid. Just last week we were in some of the communities around Ashanti, Dunko, Pin areas and all of that, and we've all been following Erastus's narratives and also posts on every location that he goes and all of that. And even just yesterday, driving through the eastern region, seeing what is happening just within Chebi Enclave, within Esiakwa, all those areas, after you'll be very sad and you really ask yourself whether there is any fight against galamsey at all. So I think that I was forced to even respond to somebody who asked me about how the fight is going, and I had to say it seems hopeless. So I think that a lot has been said, a lot has been promised, but on the ground, we don't see that turning into positive results or outcomes. And galamsey is still very much shocking us as a country, exposing our weaknesses in terms of governance, and even when it comes to intelligence and enforcement and compliance. Galamsey is demonstrating to us that as a country, we have never been ready, and we are not ready now to deal with an existential threat like the menace that we are currently confronted with.
You know, when this happened and there was an emergency cabinet meeting, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, I just played his voice as well. After that emergency cabinet meeting, he addressed the press. He used a phrase, ruthless war against galamsey, right? I don't know why you're laughing, but it's no.
I think yes. I mean, I've gone back to read some of these statements that were made last year and in between and all of that. And I have to say that we are nowhere close to any of all the descriptions that we gave to the new fight against galamsey or what it was supposed to be. And so we have not seen any ruthlessness to the fight against galamsey. 9 months has already been there, but what really 9 months was supposed to do, we are just seeing a pale shadow of that. 9 months was initially planned, which would have been a very strategic vehicle for government to nip the impunity and deal with the entitlement of all these galamsey operators in forest reserves and across our rivers. 9 months has not been empowered significantly to provide that role. And that has been, for me, a very big weakness in the fight against galamsey. Of course, we have an expectation of the police service, we have an expectation of the district chief executives of the various MMDAs, as well as the MPs and the people in government. But I think enforcement was crucial, and that has been lacking in the sense that we've not been able to fully deploy them as we said we would. We have trained, like the government has reported, over 2,000 blue water guards. But Alfred, there is no point in training people to see and report if you don't have anybody to give a rapid response action to all the reports that you receive. That has been a major gap in the fight against galamsey. So yes, ruthless was said was going to be the new approach to the fight against galamsey, but that has never happened. That has never happened. The impunity is still on. The entitlement is growing to the extent that is normalized. Look, yesterday between Chebi and Esiapa, Alfred, excavators on both sides of the road, working in plain view, and those ones who care to even cover their actions, put some aluminum sheets across so that you don't see what's happening when you turn your eye across the road. So it's really that bad. None of our rivers before they took office has turned to any good state. More and more forest reserves are under siege. The recent incidents of Busumtri with miners taking over is a sad situation to report. So it really tells you, really, there has not been any ruthlessness to this fight. We have just still been treating everything with kid gloves. The president said his own people are involved in galamsey. But as we speak, only Wood to me, we know, has been convicted of any crimes related to galamsey. There are so many people, and I know this because Forestry Commission is constantly crying over the fact that they make arrests of so many people engaging in illegal activities in the forest reserve. But when it comes to prosecution, it takes them so many years. And all the while that the people are on remand, it is the Forestry Commission that is spending their own operational resources to do the back and forth to the police, taking the people from the prisons for the police stations where they are on remand to the courts and back with no decision in terms of prosecution. So, Alfred, I think we are really not doing well in terms of all the good things that we said we would do. And to that extent, I think that is also why we are failing terribly at the fight in dealing with the impunity we see around us.
And Rashid Tanko Computer is going to be joining us in a bit. But where is the missing link? I mean, what, in the fight against galamsey, between the missing link between what is happening now and what was promised, or what the CSOs expected to see after the death of these 8 Ghanaians we are remembering and mourning today?
Alfred, you see, I think I need to state that before these 8 people lost their lives, we had already lost a lot of citizens, children, mothers, our fathers, several people, even police officers and other public servants, to the fight against galamsey. Many are those who have died in pits, left abandoned behind their houses on their way to their farms as they go and fetch water. Many have died. I think the last time we did a cursory tally of all media reportage from NADMO and all of that, we had over 900 fatalities associated with illegal mining alone and pits left abandoned. People falling in and dying, and even people who are working in the pits also dying as a result of the pit caving in on them. So after people have been dying for as long as we can remember, but we refuse to act on it. And clearly from what we are seeing with the 8 dying also, we have not seen any change. The missing link after here is that the promise was to ensure that the fight was going to be unrelenting. We are going to put in place the necessary mechanism, for example, KPI for MMDA chief executives. We talked about law enforcement and compliance. We talked about tracking excavators before they move and all of that. All of this has not happened. Nothing of the sort. We don't know what KPIs that the MMDAs are working with or the chief executives are complying with. And that is how come you see a chief executive giving out that authority to allow people to pay for certain offenses they've committed in relation to galamsey, rather than arresting these people and prosecuting them. So I think that everything about enforcement, as we said we would do, we've always downplayed it. The law Act 995, which is there for all of us to implement, the government is behaving as though they are afraid to implement it. The only person that brought the full force of that law again is new to me. And that's why I've always said that the government must be very, very cautious in preventing a situation where they do nothing and eventually the opposition becomes right in saying that this was for political purposes and not really because the government cares about the environmental crime that is escalating around that. So I think that everything about enforcement, ensuring that people connected to government, the political elites, traditional authority, are taking advantage of their elite position or the reverence people give to them to do whatever they want, and the law also not being administered fairly on behalf of everyone is, for me, a big gap in the fight against galamsey.
Darrell, I appreciate you for this extensive analysis of the current state of affairs when it comes to the fight against galamsey.
It's a pleasure.
I'm sure we'll connect tonight. Thank you. Thank you so much. Darrell Bosso is the director of the Deputy National Director of Arocha Ghana, a CSO in the environment space, and giving us his verdict on the fight against galamsey 1 year on after the death of these 8 gallant Ghanaians who were on their way to also help or contribute to the fight against galamsey. Let's cross over to the Defense Ministry, where the unveiling of the cenotaph in memory of the late Defense Minister Dr. Edward Omane-Boamah was part of the 8 gallant Ghanaians that we lost exactly a year ago. The President John Dramani Mahama is speaking.
To reaffirm our nation's gratitude to a devoted patriot whose life was dedicated to the service of Ghana. This ceremony honors the memory of the late Honorable Dr. Edward Kofi Omane-Boamah, who served our country with distinction as Minister of Defense. A cenotaph is more than stone and inscriptions. It is a lasting reminder that while life may end, the values it embodied, service, integrity, patriotism, and sacrifice, must continue to inspire future generations. Dr. Omane-Boamah served with diligence, humility, and unwavering commitment to the security and stability of our republic. His contribution to strengthening our armed forces and advancing Ghana's democratic governance will remain part of our national story. For me, this immortalization of Omani's memory is deeply personal. He was a friend, a younger brother, a loyalist, and a close advisor. His loyalty and love for me was undoubted. He stood by my side through all momentous occasions of my political career. Omani was a great human being. His kind is difficult to find in our world today. I thank the Ghana Armed Forces for the honor being done to your former minister today, the only defense minister on record to have died in active service. Let me also take this opportunity to thank my brother, the President of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, for sending a special envoy in the person of his Minister for Warfare and Patriotic Defense, General Celestine Sempori, to represent him at this moment of our grief. On behalf of the government and people of Ghana, I once again extend our deepest sympathy to his family, friends, and his colleagues with whom he served. May they find comfort in the knowledge that his service to Ghana shall never be forgotten. May his soul continue to rest in perfect peace, and may God continue to bless our homeland, Ghana. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Mr. President. We shall remain standing for the last.
As the President, John Dramani Mahama, there. At the unveiling of the cenotaph in memory of the late Defense Minister, Dr. Edward Omani-Boamah. And this is happening live at the Ministry of Defense, and we're there keeping an eye on how things are playing out there at that particular venue and what is happening right now regarding the unveiling of the cenotaph in memory of the late Defense Minister, Dr. Edward Omani-Boamah. And also live on 3FM 927 on Facebook and on YouTube. Keep your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions coming. Read out to you and to the rest of the world. And some thoughts and the relatives as well of the departed eight that we are remembering today have been sharing with us the fond memories of the departed souls and their relatives as well. We've been speaking to them, and this is what they had to say.
We shall now observe a minute.
We've missed his moments with us as a father. We have also missed his moment as a friend, because he was not only a father, he was also a friend. This was a man who, growing up, was teaching us how to be humble. Humility was key. And then also you have to be tolerant. Tolerance enables you to easily forgive whoever might have wronged you. And so, us at home, we have missed all this from him.
1 year on, as traditional authority, as family, we say Alhamdulillah. With much grace, we are grateful to what Allah has done. Just like we have always said in Islam, Kullu nafsin zaikatul maut, everybody will taste death in your lifetime. And so it is our sincere belief that that is the will of Allah, and he responded to the call of his creator. So it's good, very fine. Well, it is what you reap, and what you sow that you reap. Of course, it is our sincere belief that Alhaji Sandapeura Alhaji Muniru in his lifetime served humanity, and that is what we are reaping today, the show of love, we cannot quantify it. We cannot say thank you enough to the general public, to all Ghanaians for the love that they have shown since August 6, 2025, and continue to show. Of course, what transpired today is a show of love from the general public, and all we have to say is Alhamdulillah.
To the Ghana Armed Forces, to the party, to NADMO, to the people of Obuasi and Adanse, and to every Ghanaian who prayed for us and refused to forget, thank you. You held us up when we could not stand. And to the 7 other families here, we did not choose one another, but we belong to one another now. Let me say one last thing. Samuel died on his way to a fight that is yet not finished. The rivers he was going to defend are still being poisoned. The land is still bleeding. The truest tribute we can pay this aid is not a speech. It is to finish their work. Please, do not let this be the last year we remember them. And Yola, as I call you, I want you to know that God has held me. On the days I could not even pray, He carried me throughout the pain. Our girls are well. They have your laugh, and I am keeping my promise. I am taking care. Rest peacefully in the bosom of the Lord. Until we meet again, you will always be my forever. Thank you.
That was a tribute read by the wife of the late Samuel Abuaji, who was a deputy NADMO coordinator and NDC parliamentary candidate in Obuasi, who was part of the 8 Ghanaians we lost exactly a year ago, and also sharing those fond memories of the late Samuel Abuaji. Let's cross over back to the Ministry of Defense, where the cenotaph in memory of the late Defense Minister, Dr. Edward Omane-Boamah, is underway. The Ghana Armed Forces also delivering a speech right now.
Able Deputy, the Ghana Armed Forces, staff of the Ministry of Defense, and the bereaved family, I wish to express our profound gratitude to His Presidency, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana, for honoring this occasion with his presence and for paying a glowing tribute to a distinguished son of Ghana, whose life was dedicated to public service and national development. We are equally grateful to the Vice President for graciously honoring our invitation. Let me also show our gratitude to all the dignitaries, government officials, members of parliament, members of the Ghana Armed Forces, traditional rulers, religious leaders, friends, colleagues, and well-wishers who have taken time from their demanding schedules to be part of this memorable event. Your presence has brought comfort to us and added a great significance to this ceremony. Our heartfelt appreciation also goes to all those who work tirelessly behind the scenes to make today's event a success. The planning committee, the protocol team, the event organizers, the media, and every individual whose commitment and dedication ensured the smooth organization of this ceremony.
The Ghana Armed Forces there, and this ceremony is still underway. But while at it, the New Patriotic Party petitioned the Supreme Court and the presidency earlier today, accusing the ruling government of political persecution, selective justice, and the misuse of state institutions. The petition was part of the party's nationwide protest dubbed Democracy Under Attack, which the NPP says is aimed at raising concerns over what it describes as threats to Ghana's democratic values and institutions under the current administration. Led by the Minority Leader Alexander Apanyomaking, the party presented its concerns about what it considered breaches of the rule of law, threats to judicial independence, and declining public confidence in state institutions. Let's take a listen to Alexander Apanyomaking earlier today at that demonstration, and also some of the persons who spoke to the media.
So take the opportunity coordinated operations across all 21 identified hotspots to prevent re-entry of illegal miners into these reserves. While temporary deployments yielded positive results,
under the circumstances, you should have been part of this discussion and to lead it. We feel that, with great respect to you and without prejudice to your presence, to nominate only you to come amount to disrespecting us as a political party. The history of this country tells us one thing, that no political party stays in power forever. You promised creating jobs, one job creations, 24-hour economy. You promised that electricity tariffs would be lower. You promised that cocoa prices would go up. Today, we're seeing the opposite of that. Instead, you are bullying, intimidating your political opponent. Why should Wuntumi be in prison? What has he done? But you see, there's an election ahead of us, 2028. Unfortunately, Mr. President is not going to stand election again. This third-term agenda you guys are pursuing, has failed. It will not going to happen. Please.
This is democracy at hand. If the MPP today had been able to come to the flag table to present their petition, and I'm saying that democracy is at its utmost. Everybody knows what today is. Today is the day of memorial for the 8th gallant ship. And I'm happy that Honorable Leader is saying that I am a nobody. But I want to assure you that I'm a senior member of government, and this petition will directly get to the president. And they should also remember that in this country there are laws. There are laws that is put together to help us regulate our lives and our being.
That's Anaya Jantua there, who was responding to Alexander Apanyomaking, not too happy about she being delegated to receive the petition. They were expecting someone, in his words, someone senior than Anaya Jantua to receive the petition. But Anaya Jantua also responded in an equal fashion. But Samuel Atacha, lawyer for Kwabena Dubois and Chairman Wuntumi, also had this to say. He was part of the people on the streets demonstrating earlier today. We'll bring you that shortly. Also, he wasn't alone. Osache Mensah, the former minority leader, this former Swami member of parliament, also had this to say on why the NPP was on the streets.
The executive, we are determining, but for the records, we want to state that today, being the 6th of August, the year of our Lord, together with many Ghanaians, hundreds and thousands of them, we marched to the seat of government to register our displeasure to the ongoing intimidation and the arrest, which is a 24-hour system that they are conducting.
We just want to remind that no dictator emerges from nowhere and foists dictatorship on the people. It starts gradually. Sometimes the people at the helm of affairs are not even aware. Sometimes it's intentional. We want to believe that the president perhaps has not done serious introspection on what is going on. Because the arrests that are going on, the selectivity involved, even with prosecution, government comes and the first thing that he does within the first 4 months in administration is to file nolle prosequi, in respect of all people of high visibility.
One would say that those are matters of the law.
Those are matters of the law. Has anybody told you the grounds for the filing of the nolle prosequi? Has anybody told you that? So you see, as I was saying, they begin gradually. And when you wake up from your slumber, then many things would have happened.
As Osai Chairman Sabonso there. But away from this, the West African Examinations Council has dismissed allegations that it discriminated against candidates from private schools in the release of the 2026 Basic Education Certificate examination results. The council also says it is open to any independent investigation into the controversy, provided the review is undertaken by experts in examination assessment. This is after the National Association of Private Schools accused WAEC of marking down private candidates in this year's examination. At a press conference earlier today, Head of Public Affairs or Public Relations at WAEC, John Kapi, rejected the allegations, describing them as baseless and unsupported by the evidence on the ground.
Wishes to assure all stakeholders, parents, guardians, school proprietors, educational authorities, and the general public that the Council's assessment and grading processes are guided by internationally accepted principles of fairness, objectivity, consistency, and integrity. Under no circumstances does WAEC discriminate against candidates on the basis of whether they attended private or public schools. How BC scripts are marked. The Council employs rigorous quality assurance procedures throughout the entire marking process. We ensure that there is anonymity between the examiners and the scripts they mark. This is done by swapping the scripts of candidates across regions, coding and packaging of scripts, and random allocation of scripts to examiners, amongst others. Scripts are marked strictly according to approved standard marking schemes developed by experts in the various subject areas, and all examiners from both private and public schools are made to acquaint themselves with it before the marking process commences. The Council does not operate different marking schemes or grading systems for public and private schools. This misconception has been addressed repeatedly by the Council over the years. Grading system. The Council uses the STIN 9, also known as Standard 9, grading system. It is a statistical method of reporting candidates' performance relative to the overall performance of all candidates in a particular subject. The STIN 9 scale ranges from 1 to 9.
That's John Kapi there. Obenfo Nanakwesi Jetwa is Executive Director of the Ghana National Council of Private Schools. Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Alfred. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for asking. Have you contacted WAEC or sent this petition that, or the questions you are asking about the results they released to them to clarify exactly why private students were marked down in this BC as you're claiming?
Alfred, thank you very much. The quick response is that I haven't seen any two contended parties having an issue, and one should send his or her particulars to the other to ascertain the matter. We have said that we have issues against WAEC, and so there's no need for us to be sending our particulars to WAEC for them to ascertain.
What do you mean by that? I clarify. You have an issue against WAEC.
Let me finish, Alfred. WAEC has conducted assessment on our students. We are saying that we are not happy with the entire assessment conducted by WAEC. And for that matter, we need an independent body to ascertain and determine the veracity of the matter. And so we are not perturbed about WAEC's, press conferences and all that. Why is it that they didn't disclose that Parliamentary Select Committee on Education has invited them to a meeting to come and prove their stance? Why can't they wait for Parliament House to determine the matter, or an independent body to see to it that, the proof of the matter is determined? And so for organizing a press conferences and calling our concerns as baseless and all that, we expect that will be the message or the song that they will be definitely be singing. And so they should keep on singing that song when the matter reaches the echelon bodies and its determination is determined, everybody will see the truthfulness aspect of it.
Well, I asked that question, Mr. Jeswa. Mr. Jeswa, I asked that question because you are not the examiners. That's number one. If you don't understand why a situation is what it is, you would first seek clarification. If you are not satisfied with the clarification that you get from WAEC, then you escalate it to the next level, and you're saying that that's not what you want to do.
Clarification must be sought whenever you believe that the system is fair. We have already said that the system is not fair. And so why should we go and seek any clarification again? What kind of clarification are we expecting from WAEC?
And the system not being fair is based on what?
The only clarification that we need is that where is the script? Avail it, make it available, that Alfred can even read and know that yes, indeed, this child has passed or hasn't passed. That is all that we are determined. You are an administrative body. I don't see an administrative body becoming a regulator of itself and at the same time an implementer. And so at this point in time, we are not picking on the grounds that whenever you have issue, come to us. We are saying we will not go to WAEC today, we will not go to WAEC on any day. We will seek for, independent body to review the issues that we have raised. Tomorrow, by 10 o'clock, we are presenting our petition to the ministry, and our demands are very clear, very simple, of which any, administrative body who is ready to ensure that accountability is served to its members or to the people that are concerned would have gladly accepted this. So tomorrow we are presenting our petitioning the minister and all the stakeholders who are concerned in this matter to ensure that an independent body, for the first time in the history, to investigate the concerns that we have raised. And so what is the issue?
Nana Kwesi Jetua, thank you for joining us. Tomorrow we'll see how it plays out. Appreciate you. Is Executive Director of the Ghana National Council of Private Schools there. This is Hot Edition. We're live as well on KESME 107.1 and on W93.5. We're going to go for the script break. When we're back, the latest in the world of sports is up next.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Andrew Sefa Bamfo. Let's start off from the camp of the Black Queens because they do face Mali in their final group game of the 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations. A draw will be enough to send Ghana, who have 3 points from the opening 2 games, through to the knockout round. My colleague Akosi Eje provides more details in the following report.
In Morocco, as the Black Queens of Ghana prepare to play their final Group D game in the 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations. 7 countries have already made it to the knockout phase of the competition, including Morocco, Algeria, South Africa, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Malawi, and Cameroon, who are in Group D with Ghana. So tonight, in Group D, while Cameroon play against Cape Verde and Ghana take on Mali, all eyes will be on the West African derby between Ghana and Mali, because the Black Queens of Ghana will have to secure either all 3 points or get at least a point in that game to make sure they qualify to the next stage of the competition. What this means for Ghana is that a victory or a draw will keep them in the competition to the quarterfinal and keep their 2027 World Cup hopes alive. A victory or a draw in this game presents three things for the Black Queens. One, an opportunity to keep fighting for the WAFCON trophy, which have eluded them since the inception of the tournament. Two, a place to either make it into the semi-final or play in the play-in for a place in the intercontinental playoff. Qualification to the quarterfinal really would mean they could, as I said, qualify to the semi-final and automatically make it to the 2027 Women's African Cup of Nations. Coach Kimlas Biokegrin has already spoken about the fact that the team is under no pressure to deliver because they already understand what is at stake. Midfielder Jennifer Kujo also has reiterated the players' readiness to make sure that they stay in the tournament and go as far as booking a place in Brazil 2027.
And so that was a report by my colleague Akosi AJ on the Black Queens, who do play Mali in their final WAFCON game scheduled to take place tonight at 8 p.m. Let's bring you some more here because Ghana Premier League champions Mediama have been handed a difficult assignment in their opening round of the 2026-2027 CAF Champions League after being paired with DR Congo's TP Mazembe in Thursday's draw. Now, Mediama will host the first leg at the TNA Stadium before traveling to the Democratic Republic of Congo for the decisive second leg against the five-time African champions. Now, the first leg would also be the opening preliminary round and is scheduled to take place between September 4 and September 6. Meanwhile, MTN FA Cup champions Nations FC would also begin their maiden CAF Confederation Cup campaign against Malian outfit FC Diarra after the draw of the preliminary round took place earlier today. Should Nations overcome the Malian side, they will advance to the second preliminary round where they will face Algerian side or Niger side AZ Cam and Togolese side Asco Dekara in there. Now, before we go, Real Madrid have officially announced the signing of Yan Diomande from RB Leipzig on a 7-year contract that will keep him at the Santiago Bernabeu until June 30, 2033. The Ivorian international joins ahead of the 2026-2027 season. Diomande enjoyed a sensational debut campaign in Germany, registering 13 goals and 10 assists across 36 appearances in all competition. The Ivorian's performances earned him the move to Real Madrid, bringing an end to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on TFM 92.7 with me, Andrew Sifa Bamfo.